Good afternoon everyone, hope you're all well. Today's episode, Midweek Tips, is one that was suggested by Dean Walton, good friend of mine, lovely fella, regular watcher to the channel, so thanks for watching Dean, and thanks to everyone else for watching. I mean, you guys seem to be liking what we're doing, so we're going to keep doing it. But his suggestion was about weaning birds, and things like that. But before I do that, I just want to talk about getting up to that stage maybe, because there is a lot of beginners that are watching our videos, and just some little bit of information for them. Sorry, it might bore you guys that already know this type of stuff, but for beginners they don't. So I've mentioned already in other episodes I've done about the incubation period and stuff like that. I mean, we'll go more into depth on certain things as the season progresses. But yes, when it comes to incubation, around 14 days, then you'll start seeing the chicks hatch. One thing I would always say though, lead up to any breeding season, making sure your preparation for breeding is ready. If not a week in advance, a month in advance, and I'll explain why as I'm going on. So, eggs, they're hatching. One thing you will have to do is constantly make sure they've got fresh food and water. There's no point in coming in the morning and giving them a load of seed and then thinking that's it for the day. If you can, you know, if you're staying at home, if you're still working from home like some people may be, checking every couple of hours, a little bit of fresh seed here and there, green food, water, because one thing that I found with the hens, if they feel that they've not got enough food to last themselves, they will not feed the young ones. End of the day, survival mechanism, they will look after themselves before any chicks. Well, that's one thing I've found at least. Now, leaving the nest again around 14 days. You get some a bit earlier, some a bit later. It really depends on birds and stuff like that. Then we come on to the weaning side, should you get them that far. I do things slightly different because obviously I've got birds in flights, birds in cages, so it really depends on what type of birds I'm looking for. One major problem I have is plucking of birds, but now combated that, and I'll come on to that shortly. So the birds have just left the nest. This is a vital time to make sure you keep an eye on them. Make sure the cock bird is still feeding them, because what will happen shortly, the hen bird will want to go to nest again. So this is where the preparation side comes in. As soon as they've left the nest, probably 2 or 3 days in, the hen will look to try and go back to nest. Don't let it go in the same nest. Have another nest ready. So what to do, take that nest, put the one existing on the floor, providing it's clean. I mean, I change my nests around 10 days, and then again when I'm putting it on the floor. That'll give the young one that's actually left the nest somewhere to roost at night time that they're comfortable with. Also, it gives the hen the option to start building again. So bear that in mind. 2 nests. I'll show you. I mean, what I would do is basically one on the floor, one in the existing place where the old nests were. It's just common practice, and it's something that the more you do it, the more it just seems logical. So you've got the nest on the floor, she's starting to build. Now, same again. Last thing you want to do is have the hen pluck the feathers from the chick to build the nest. Make sure you've got fresh nesting material in. Don't get me wrong, you're going to waste quite a lot of nesting material throughout the season. But one thing you don't want to do, which I've had in the past, is the hen and the cockbird plucking feathers off the young birds to make the nest with. So that's the other one. Make sure you've got plenty of nesting material in. Now, the chicks will start eating on their own. I mean, they usually follow the parents, and they will start to pick up little bits on their own. Just when you see them picking up, that's not good enough to take them away. Don't forget they've got to drink water as well as eat seed. So monitoring them is the main thing. And what I tend to do, if the birds are all fine, the cock birds still feeding, by this point the hen bird possibly, more than likely, will be back on eggs anyway. And the cock bird should still be feeding the young that's in the cage. Maybe around 21 days old, something like that you're looking at now. 28 days, they should be well on the way eating, and you should be able to take them away. But in any case, if you're breeding in double breeders, at that point what you could do is just simply put a wire divider in, cock bird with the young, and leave the hen on the nest on their own. As soon as the chicks are comfortable and 100% drinking from the water fountain and eating on their own, then yes, take them out and put them into your stock cages for young birds. I mean, I have like bottom rows here and there for the young from that year. But in other circumstances, the cock bird, if he's overfed, will attack the young ones. This is where I use something like these weaning cages that we do. I mean, they're not very big. I think they're about 9 inches. Now, what I do with this is basically, a big cage like this would be no problem. It's got a perfect seed dispenser at this side, seed hopper. And I always put a drinker on it just to try and encourage them. Because if they see the cock bird in the cage doing it, they'll try and interpret that. So what I usually, or I have done with this, I've got my old one down there from last year. Basically, if you can, tie wrap it onto the cage and with the door at the front, so you can still access them. But meanwhile, put a perch at either side, so the cock bird, and maybe even one in the middle, so the cock bird, should he want to, can still come and feed the young ones, because that's the vital part. The young ones will keep calling to be fed, and eventually the cock bird will get fed up. If not, the hen bird will definitely come and feed them, because it's a paternal instinct. So they'll keep feeding them. But like I said, just by cable tying this onto your cage, you can still access them. In the case, you could always take them out, remove the cock bird, and put them back in with the hens, and have them in the same cage. Because at the end of the day, the last thing you want is you've got them to that point of 21, 28 days. You don't want to be losing them now. You put a lot of effort into getting them to that far. So you'd rather, I would rather lose the new nest of eggs that is in there than lose the ones that have already got weaned. As a ruling though, one thing I don't take the chicks away, if possible, till the tails are fully grown. At that point, they shouldn't be as mature anymore, and they should be eating on their own. It is, for me, I could say it's as simple as that. But it is if you know. If you don't know, you know, that's what I'm here for, to try and help. And it is little tips like that. But like I said, should you get to that point, there has been, over the years, certain things where the hens have not fed the chicks, or the cock bird is driving an hen too much and knocks her off the nest or smashes the eggs. It's all part of bird breeding. I mean, we're bird breeders, not keepers. If we're just keepers, we're just keeping birds to look at. We're not into that. We're into breeding. If you get chicks that have hatched and the hen doesn't want to feed, she might be a young hen. She might not know how to do it yet, especially on the first round. Usually when it comes to the second round, it really kicks into them. So, you know, be patient with them. But if you do get to that point and you think she's not feeding, and mix, I've said it before on one of our episodes, this is worth its weight in gold. I think it's about £11 or something like that, and that one tub would last me all year. I don't tend to hand feed if I don't have to, but at the end of the day, a little bit of time just topping up, and with this, it's so simple to use. Just even if you have to take them and hand feed them full time, it's not a full-time job. It is quite simple. Just top them up here and there, and before you know it, they'll be starting to eat on their own. But like I said, personally, I always have it, and that's two things that probably would would help a little more when it comes to rearing. But I mean, that's about it really. It is just a matter of trying it and seeing. Like I said, with the weaning, in the flights, I actually try my utmost best not to interfere in whatsoever. I've already explained the crossbills on eggs. Don't know if they're full or not. Not checked. Not been in. Not touched them. So that's them there. But that's your midweek tip on weaning. One thing. This is just something that, if you think about it, it makes logic sense. If you've got young birds that is just starting to pick up, they won't pick up or break hard seeds as well as soaked seed or finer seeds like your pygmy green, your Fonio paddies, your blue moor. I'm not saying them seeds, but they are finer seeds, more fattier type seeds. They will digest them a lot faster. So just bear stuff like that in mind. No point in putting a big load of hard seeding because they're not going to be able to do it. Little soft seeds will help the young ones and encourage them a lot more, like I said, with apples and stuff like that. But anyway, that's it for today. But thanks everyone for watching. Tune in Friday. Just an update of progress. Something like I've already mentioned on the Facebook page. We will be introducing or putting an episode, or maybe 2 episodes splitting up. I don't know yet because I know it's quite long. There was a film out in the, I think it was like late 80s, early 90s. Derek Old know. I watched it as a kid and I've watched it so many times. And that's one thing we're going to put on probably in 2 hours. And the information on that is really, really, well, you can't really second it to anything else, because this was one of the original ones before YouTube came about. This was on a VHS, and it's something that's very similar to what I still do now, and this is some 30 years on, so look forward to that. Also, we have got an episode coming up from Kevin Hogan in Ireland. He's done me some bits. I've been in the middle of processing it for a while. It's about Java sparrows breeding and exhibiting, because Kev, he does well. Him and his dad Peter do really well breeding and showing these birds, and I've watched it myself, and it's really interesting. They're not birds that really do it for me, but the different mutations and stuff, and the birds themselves are really interesting. So that's something for you guys to watch. Tune in on Friday 7 o'clock for the next episode and see how we're getting along. Have a good day everybody, and thanks for watching.